Dribbble used to be the go-to platform for design inspiration, but not anymore. Today, I'm going to show you why Dribbble is no longer useful for designers and how it's actively holding many creatives back. If you're still relying on Dribbble, you might be missing out on crucial aspects of design that go far beyond trends. As someone who runs a design agency and teaches design at the college, I've seen firsthand how relying on platforms like Dribbble can mislead young designers. That's why I warn my students to avoid it altogether. Let me explain why this advice is critical and how avoiding Dribbble has led my students to secure top-tier jobs, including positions at my own agency. Before we dive in, I'm curious, what's been your experience with Dribbble? Are you finding it helpful or frustrating? Leave a comment below. Now, there are two major reasons why I strongly advise against using Dribbble, and they've got nothing to do with whether or not the platform has trendy designs. Let's dive into what's really going on. What happened to Dribbble? Or maybe the real question is, what happened to us? When Dribbble launched in 2009, it felt like a game changer. Back then, as a young designer, I spent hours building mood boards from the beautiful interfaces showcased on the platform. But over time, something changed. The more I focused on looks, the more disconnected I became from the actual purpose of design. Dribbble had transformed into a popularity contest, where aesthetics ruled over function. This mirrors how design itself evolved over time. Initially, it was driven by traditional canons, rules and expectations rooted in history and religion. But then, revolutionary designers like Le Corbusier, Jan Tschichold and Dieter Rams came along and shifted the focus from purely aesthetic appeal to function, impact and meaning. And here's where Dribbble started to fall apart for me. While we as designers evolved to focus on function, Dribbble stayed stuck. It remained surface level, focused on how things look rather than how they work or the problems they solve. Do you feel this shift too? Are you finding it harder to get inspired by the work you see on Dribbble? Let's look at the broader design world to understand this shift. Just like the legendary designers I mentioned, we evolved from prioritizing looks to focusing on impact. Take Le Corbusier. He redefined architecture by making spaces more functional. Dieter Rams showed us that simplicity could drive innovation. But here's the thing, while we've evolved, Dribbble hasn't. The problem is, Dribbble still caters to our younger selves, the ones chasing visual trends. It's like a candy shop for designers starting out. But once you reach a certain level, you realize the real value of design isn't in a candy. It's in solving problems. Dribbble has failed to follow this journey of evolution, and that's why it feels so empty to many experienced designers today. Here's my first big reason for advising against Dribbble. It prioritizes aesthetics over substance. Dribbble encourages a top-down approach where the look of something comes first and the actual user experience comes second. But in reality, good design starts from the bottom up. It begins by understanding the user, their needs, and the problem you're trying to solve. Only after that should you focus on aesthetics. By flipping this process, Dribbble sets young designers up for failure. The second reason is Dribble's identity as a social network. When Dribbble launched, it felt revolutionary. But what we didn't realize at the time is that, like many social networks, Dribbble would turn into a popularity contest. Designers began chasing likes instead of solving real problems. And here's the damaging part. It traps young creatives in a cycle of approval seeking, forcing them to follow trends rather than explore innovative ideas. Instead of encouraging diversity in design, Dribbble has created a homogeneous landscape where everything looks the same. Let's talk about why this is such a trap for beginners. As someone who works with students and junior designers, I've seen how Dribbble can destroy creativity. When you're just starting out, you need freedom to explore and learn. But instead, Dribbble locks you into visual trends before you've even mastered the basics of design. That's why I advise my students to steer clear of it, even when they're just looking for visual inspiration. There are better places to learn and grow as a designer without getting trapped in Dribble's algorithm. What do you think? Does Dribbble feel like a popularity contest to you, or do you still find value in it? Let me know in the comments. But here's the good news. We live in a world where these problems have already been solved. We don't need to look far to find the answers. Take Apple, for example. Their design system is world-renowned for balancing form and function. They've laid out their entire design philosophy in their human interface guidelines, which are accessible to everyone. If you want to see how truly innovative design works, I highly recommend checking out the Apple Design Awards. Each winner is a masterclass in how design should solve real-world problems with creativity and purpose. And if you're curious to dive deeper into Apple's design system, check out my video, Secret Design School from Apple. I go in depth on their guidelines and show you how to apply these principles to your own work. Click the link on the screen now and take your design skills to the next level.